evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Mitchell Ringos. Ontario Provincial Police closed Highway 102 at around 8 a.m. this morning because of a collision between Sisters Corner and Highway 1117. The collision was between two tractor-trailer units which blocked off the highway and one was straddling both suspension wires across the bridge. The OPP reported no injuries from the crash and the highway was fully reopened at around 2 p.m. Local MP Patty Hajdu says she's been in talks with Mayor Bill Morrow to discuss his hopes to bring Ukrainian refugees to Thunder Bay. Hajdu says she and her colleagues in the Trudeau government are working to quicken the pace at which those fleeing war in Ukraine can be brought to Canada. She knows there is a strong contingent of Ukrainian Canadians here in Thunder Bay, and she's spoken with many who are in horror over the war. While ultimately not the decision of the government, Hajdu reassured the mayor that if people wish to come, she will work to make it happen.
We're willing to work with all communities that are interested. In terms of the particular hub perspective, again, it would depend on how many people from Ukraine wish to come to Thunder Bay, and that's always a part of the determining factor. The government generally doesn't dictate where refugees or where immigrants will choose to relocate.
Hajdu also made note of Canada's matching program for donations to the Red Cross to aid the Ukraine humanitarian crisis appeal. The City of Dryden has passed its 2022 budget, and for the first time in a while, residents will see an increase in rates. As well, the city will be dipping into its reserves to pay for some expected costs, which came out of the decision to disband its police service in favor of the OPP. As Adam Riley explains, those costs were the subject of a tense discussion for some council members.
3.91%, that is how much more Dryden property owners will be paying in taxes this year following the passage of the city's 2022 budget. That increase will net the city $570,000, will help it counter a $1.1 million increase in operating costs without cutting services. It includes an estimated $1.7 million for uniform police disbandment costs, an estimated $372,000 for civilian police disbandment costs, a one-time $723,000 OPP startup cost, and a one-time $416,000 OPP facility upgrade for the Highway 17 detachment. Those costs will be covered through various reserve funds, which didn't sit well with Councillor Shane McKinnon, who is a vocal opponent of the decision to disband the DPS.
We're going to use legacy money, which is in fact renamed from the hydro proceeds that we had a number of years ago. We're going to exhaust our emergency reserve. We're going to leave out of the $400 and some thousand dollars in there, we're going to leave $18,000.
McKinnon dubbed the budget the police transition budget of 2022, noting historically when budgets are increased, they rarely decrease thereafter, and called the 3.9% increase the legacy of the transition. He also noted the decision for a water and sewer increase of 10% will leave the city in a rut of sorts.
We're essentially putting ourselves back into a position where we can't make any moves financially on our own because now we've incurred another debt.
Some tense interactions came following McKinnon's assertion in his closing comments that 80% of residents supported the continuation of the DPS over the OPP, which raised the ire of fellow councillor Dave McKay.
87% was the number that was gleaned out of the first costing study, and you can look that up if you'd like.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the outcome of the second costing. So you made up the number. Just to be clear.
No. I don't want to argue with you about that, but you can go back and look.
Put out numbers that you can't substantiate.
Yeah. It's water under the bridge.
The budget was passed with 5 councillors in favour and none opposed, as McKinnon abstained from the vote. Adam Riley, TBT News.
Later this month, the largest infrastructure project the North Shore region has seen in decades will be completed. And with that, the work camps for the east-west tie will begin to shut down. The project, valued at $777 million, is a 230 kilovolt transmission line that runs from Shunya to Wawa. It provided an economic boost for many of the communities along the North Shore over the past 3 years. Marathon acted as a hub community, which included supplies, housing, and the renting of space, such as the former pulp mill property for a laydown yard and a former schoolyard used for the Villard work camp. Marathon's acting mayor Greg Valance says considering the economic hardships faced during the pandemic, the project couldn't have come at a better time.
We're extremely fortunate for what Ballard brought and NextBridge brought to the community as a corporate citizen, really. We were extremely fortunate to have them, especially within that crucial time of it being the pandemic. The spin-off on, again, the economics of employment and what they brought to the retail sector and money into those organizations throughout the pandemic, we've been extremely fortunate.
The east-west tie is expected to be completed in the coming weeks and then electrified on March 31st. In honor of International Women's Day, Eco Superior is inviting the community to donate their bras in support of Free the Girls, an international campaign that supports victims of human trafficking. All throughout March, the local nonprofit organization will be accepting gently used and new bras. The collected items will then be shipped at the end of the month to young women in El Salvador, Mozambique, and Costa Rica, where they will be able to start their own businesses selling bras in local markets. This provides the women with safe and stable income and a chance to change their lives. The worldwide project is also good for environment by helping around 100,000 kilograms of bras out of landfills.
And I just feel like this campaign, although seemingly small, symbolically has a really important connection for all of humanity to be able to stop with the silent complicity of the abuse and violence both to the living landscape and to women and girls.
This initiative is something that we can all do. It's a pretty simple thing. It's not a grand gesture, but it does make a really big difference for somebody else. The program also offers economic independence, education reimbursement, small business training, so there's a lot of different components of it too, but it definitely will help women.
For anyone wanting to donate their bras, a bin will be available at the back entrance of Eco Superior during their regular office hours. More information about the project is available on the website freethegirls.org. A Sioux Lookout man is fresh off a victory at Canada's premier dog sled race, and he's now looking for another win this weekend. Jesse Terry took first place in the Canadian Challenge Sled Dog Race, which wrapped up February 24th in northern Saskatchewan. Corey Nordstrom has the story.
After a combined 43 hours and 28 minutes, Sioux Lookout's Jesse Terry crossed the finish line to take home his first Canadian Challenge Sled Dog Race victory. Terry has been racing sled dogs since he was 11, though took a hiatus from 2015 to 2020 before competing again, and was overjoyed to come out on top.
One of the most special things about the whole experience was the fact that I had a bunch of my family that was there at the race as well. My wife, Mary Englund, was running another team in the race, as well as our two children were able to meet me at the finish line, Tivai and Miali.
The 200-mile race concluded February 24th, and knowing he and his dogs would be able to squeeze in the necessary rest following the race in Saskatchewan, Terry looked towards the next adventure on the East Coast.
We had a day-and-a-half turnaround when we got home from Saskatchewan in the Canadian Challenge to unpack, repack, and get ready for our next race.
Now the 38-year-old is in Madawaska, Maine for the 250-mile Can-Am Crown. To him, having fun is the goal, though he wants to compete, noting that it will be a brand new experience.
There is a lot of more competition at this race, and we'll see how it goes. It's a new race to me. It's a new trail. It's supposed to be quite warm on Sunday. It's supposed to be above zero on Sunday, and it certainly slows the race down for everyone.
Terry's progress can be followed on the Can-Am Crown's website. Corey Nordstrom, TVT News.
And continuing with some winter activities, Thunder Bay received another big snowfall today, and skiers at Loch Lomond made the most out of the fresh powder. Jessica Clement stopped by the ski hill to get people's reaction to getting even more snow.
While many residents are dreading going outside due to the large snowfall, the skiers and snowboarders at Loch Lomond were excited to hit the slopes, with many hardcore skiers out bright and early to get the first ride through fresh snow. Co-owner of Loch Lomond, Grant Brodeur, says that the hill's conditions today are the best they've been in a long time.
To wake up and see the snow coming down this morning was great. Lots of the die-hard skiers are out first thing in the morning to get the fresh lines. I think tomorrow there will be more people out because I think the storm probably keeps people away a little bit, but the skiing is amazing. I would have to say the skiing is probably the best it's been in over the last 20 years.
Along with the snowfall, the weather has been warming up as well, which is a great combination for those who were on the slopes for hours on end. Everyone we spoke to had positive reactions to the snowfall and the condition of the hills.
Oh, it's been pretty fun. I just actually started half an hour ago. It's icy, but it's almost the end of the season, so might as well go for it.
Oh, they're fantastic. They're nice and snowy. There's lots of powder out there. It's really fun to ski.
It's the weather. You can keep snowboarding for longer instead of just coming inside and warming up. You can just continue for hours.
The Thunder Bay forecast calls for snow the rest of the weekend, so if you're a fan of skiing or snowboarding, you should hit the slopes while the powder is still fresh. Jessica Clement, TBT News.
Now joined by sports anchor Kurt Black. Now lots of outdoor activities with the snow we got, but Kurt, I hear we have some fun indoors later tonight.
Yeah, Mitch, if any of you watching are like me, you don't like the snow or Mother Nature that much, great time to go into the Wolf Den, catch some basketball as it's the last weekend for both the men's and women's team. We'll have the highlights from Game 1 last night right after the break.